like to call to order the Proctor City Council meeting for Monday, May 3rd, 2021. Could you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll perform a roll call. Councilor Benson?
Present.
Councilor Roeder? Present. Councilor Johnson? Present. Councilor DEWALL?
Present.
Mayor Ward's also present. Let the minutes reflect others present. Administrator Rich, Attorney Bray, Megan Jordan, Chief Gaddis, and Ted Kiefot. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes from the City Council meeting held on Monday, April 19th, 2021.
So move.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilor Roeder. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to approve the agenda with the addition of 6E, the conditional use permit that was on your desk. Councilor
Second.
Roeder made the motion. Councilor DeWall seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. At this time, we'll take comments and suggestions from the citizens watching via YouTube. The call-in number for this is 218-628-6289, and we'll give that a minute or two.
Luke, can you hear us?
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you state your name and address for the minutes, please?
Hi, everyone. My name is Luke Lindstrom. Address 5652 North Cloquet Road, Duluth, Minnesota 55810.
Thank you, Luke. And what's the reason for the call today?
I am one of the co-owners for Rogue Eagle Mini Golf concerning the conditional use permit you guys are looking at tonight. I just wanted to call in and offer any answers to questions you may have now, and I'll also leave my phone number in case other questions come up.
Awesome. You'll be available later in the meeting for questions or comments?
I will, yep.
Thank you. Does council have anything for Luke at the current moment? No? Well, Luke, we will contact you during the meeting when we get to your agenda item and let you know if we have any questions or concerns.
Excellent. Should I just leave my number with all of you here, or just with Jess?
You can leave it with just Jess when she picks you up off the line. Thanks for calling in, Luke.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
We'll give her another 30 seconds or so for any additional call-ins. Hearing none, we'll move on. Looking for an approval for the consent agenda. I'll make that motion with 5C being pulled.
I'll second that.
Councilor DeWall seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. That will bring us to 5C, Committee and Commission Application Appointment Discussion. In our packet, you had a working document, I guess, on the City of Proctor advisory committees and commissions, and we're just kind of opening the floor for any discussions or ideas. And as a reminder to council, if you have anything you'd like to add or see deleted from this, to let Administrator Rich know, so we can take action on this at a future meeting. So the floor is open for discussion.
I have one question, if I may.
Councilor DeWall.
How did you come up with the order of, as it goes through the commissions, and then there's like an expiration date or term date, if you will? How did you come up with that?
Counselor DeWall, that was simply alphabetical,
Okay,
starting somewhere. So some of them, yeah, will have a one-year expiration, but can certainly up their membership or application at the end of that expiration. And then if they're accepted, then they would be accepted for 3 years. So it keeps everyone on a staggered basis.
Does that answer your question, Councilor DeWall?
kind of, she just basically picked a random start period, no matter who did what in the last 24 months, which I think that's fair for everyone.
With the exception of Public Utilities Commission and PETA, who already had, those are boards and commissions, and they have predetermined terms and expirations on them.
As well as, did you say police civil service?
I did not say police civil service. I asked the chair for those expirations, and I haven't gotten them back yet.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Councilor Benson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed a few things under the Police Commission. And I didn't know if it should be addressed now or later on. I could go through them fairly quickly.
We can discuss now.
Okay. City number A, letter A, Police Civil Service Commission. It has it meets as needed by, and it includes the chief and the administrator. And I believe it's just the chair that's able to convene that committee. Membership, it's got at a minimum 3 members. I think it's only 3 members. Later on in the membership, it also has received compensation as determined by resolution. The only one that's able to receive anything is the secretary, and the secretary is limited to $100 a year. And I do have the state statutes that cover it. Also has to be a resident of Proctor. And I think that might be it so far. But yes, I will, after the meeting, I could pass the things that I mentioned, the items that I mentioned to the administrator governing
Thank
that
you.
position.
Did you have more to add, Councilor Benson?
No, I think I looked at the other committees that I sit on, and they all seem to be okay.
Thank you. Councilor Reuter.
Mr. Mayor, just a quick thing under duties and responsibilities there. Just one question under duties and responsibilities there, the public, of the police civil service, down towards the bottom there, it says monitor and review of Rochester Police Department. Is that?
I noticed that
I'm
as well. Thank
assuming,
you, Counselor. Cut and paste
assume,
mistake.
yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Benson.
Thank you. Under the tourism committee, C, membership, it's got the committee shall consist of 9 citizen board members, which tells me that they need to be residents of Proctor. And in the past, we had owners and managers of the motels, hotels, of the lodging industry. So I didn't know if we wanted to make a change or keep those managers, owners, and also we include a representative from the airport because that's important to us. And in the past, we've also had a representative from.
Are you saying that it says in here that they got to be residents of Proctor, or that's what it currently says?
It says consists of up to 9 citizens, citizen board members,
gotcha.
which to me, a citizen is a resident, but
Can we just take out citizen, 9 board members?
Yeah.
yeah, that would clean it up.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on. That'll bring us to 6A, Hoghead Fireworks Contract. In your packet, you had a contract for Flashing Thunder Fireworks Spectacular. Just looking for a motion to approve the fireworks contract for the Hoghead Festival.
So move.
Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Reuter. Any further discussion?
Payment,
What's that, Councilor?
payment, I know some of it is coming from a budgeted amount.
5,000 was coming from the council here that we approved a meeting or two ago, and then another 1,000 is coming from the chamber.
It is, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6B, COVID-19 Policy Statement. Administrator Rich.
So I presented to you last council meeting a reopening plan, which you approved. And in approving the special events, the questions from the event organizers have been what COVID plans that they should follow if the city has any. It's my recommendation. I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, there was very little direction from the state of Minnesota and CDC on industry guidelines. However, at this point, there is a lot of information, very industry-specific COVID guidelines that are out there that are speak to the planning much better than that we can and manage. So it's my recommendation that we just make a policy statement that for all special events, they're to follow their industry guideline or the Stay Safe guideline that the state of Minnesota places for them, such as outdoor recreation or restaurants and lodging or food and liquor consumption, rather than try to manage each individual event on our own, and that their requirement would be to follow those guidelines. With that, I would say that we would need to have a discussion about opening up our parks. I think by issuing these special events, some of them softball, some others, we're saying that these parks are open. We're saying it, but we're not officially stating that they are open.
I think what we'll do here is look for a motion to approve this COVID-19 policy statement to be added or sent out to all the event organizations. And then after that, maybe make a motion to open the floor for discussing opening our parks. Does that sound all right to council?
I would just like to add, not only parks, but we have a facility that we closed down that is somewhat instrumental with people in parks,
Are you referring to the playground for everybody?
bathrooms.
The bathrooms as well?
I just think there should be a discussion at the council level on what to do.
So what, this time we'll entertain a motion to approve the attached COVID-19 policy statement to be sent to all event organizations that have applied to hold events within the city.
I'll make that motion.
Councilor Reuter made that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Johnson. Any further discussion on that? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. I'll look for a motion to entertain discussion on reopening our parks and facilities that have been closed due to COVID. And I'll go ahead and make that motion.
Support.
Supported by Councilor DEWALL. And the floor is open for discussion. I guess my opinion on it, I'll start discussion, but with the CDC coming out and saying that masks aren't required outside any longer, as long as you're not in a group of people and you're still social distancing, I don't know why we shouldn't open our, at least parks, the playgrounds and ball fields and blacktop courts and bathrooms may be another discussion just because of staffing requirements on cleaning them. But I would be comfortable opening up our fields and parks, playgrounds. Councilor Benson.
Mayor, Council, considering that Saturday was a fairly warm day and a lot of our city facilities were being used by residents and others in the community, so prudent.
Agreed. Any further discussion?
Well, we probably do need to discuss the bathroom
Oh, yeah, we definitely.
situation of, and I know that, if I'm not mistaken, Administrator Rich, isn't Jimmy Bryant starting next Monday? The part-time, or the seasonal worker?
On the 10th.
And just to bring that up, we have two seasonal that council's approved, two seasonal workers that can be hired each and every year. And I understand that during the months where we don't have that extra help, it's more difficult to keep those, but I'd like to see those restrooms open up, assuming that we have the two seasonal workers coming, because I do believe that you get more people over there. It's kind of a nice city gesture to have it open for them to use. And then there's other things, youth softball and everything else.
Administrator Rich, is that going to be an issue with the street crew as far as maintaining the cleanliness of those restrooms?
So their plan is they will have one returning Parks and Rec seasonal worker, and they are working on the second. So they plan to be, if all goes well, and they're under the standing that the council gave Rick and I authority to hire that seasonal person. So they're looking at being fully staffed by May 10th. So I do not think it'll be a problem to maintain that.
I was just targeting that May 15th type date when other things open up. Not that it has to be tomorrow or.
I would like, and I get where you're coming from, Councilor DeWall, I would like to see the fields and parks open kind of immediately, since like Councilor Benson said, they've already been being utilized by the community, which is great. And then maybe we could open the bathroom separately on the 15th, is that what you said?
That's just a date that sticks out, and I don't know why that date
It's
is.
the date that we're opening up the City Hall lobby.
Correct. Yeah, that would be, and I'd be perfectly okay with that. But I agree with both Councilor Benson and Mayor Ward that people are already using them, and that's why we have them, those facilities.
Attorney Bray, do we need to rescind our motion and correct that to parks opening up immediately?
So as we're discussing, again, the bathroom situation is, how do we keep it clean after 4:30 when our city employees are not working, but yet the fields are being used? Is that something that do we shut them down after that time, or?
I would think you're gonna have to have an hours of open, and some cities already have that, where they're open during business hours. They might be opened up on a special event on a weekend or something. We certainly can't afford to staff somebody there 24/7.
No.
But I would think that if it gets a good going through towards the end of the day, that would make it till the following morning or something like that.
Is it something maybe we even need to talk to the school about, to share that response? Because them games that are going to be going on in May are going to be school games. And I'm just throwing that out there for discussion. Because our guys are done at 4 or 4:30?
Could we have an officer drive by at 6, 7 o'clock at night and lock her up? Is that?
We used to
Is that something that's feasible, Chief?
Might not happen every day at the same time, but
But roughly, we could make sure it's locked up before dark anyway.
yes.
But then the school does have their own, don't they open up the Hill building for bathrooms? I'm not even sure. They do? Thank you.
So that's an idea.
Maybe we don't even have to worry about it, but, I mean, but it should be closed then when our city workers aren't employed anymore.
I mean, we did it for years. How did
Yeah.
we used to do it? I mean, this isn't new. We aren't recreating something.
After the softball leagues, we would go there and the park would close at 10 o'clock at night and we'd shut that gate, back behind the baseball field, bigger outfield there. We'd lock that gate at 10 o'clock and then lock up the bathrooms. We did that until it was extended.
So I think the only caveat is more trouble, I assume, happens after dark. So I think if we went with like at dark or thereabouts, have an officer just lock it up. And then it'll open again as the street department comes to work.
Yep, street crew will have to open it up when they come in.
Yep.
And then they can check on it too, from whatever
Correct.
happened from
The last time
4
they were,
o'clock to,
so it's kind of getting hit twice a day.
yeah. So I'll rescind my motion, my original motion, if Councilor DeWall will rescind his second.
I'll rescind my second.
Thank you. And then I'll go ahead and make a motion that parks, playgrounds, what else am I missing there? Parks and playgrounds? Fields?
Trails.
Our trails are opened immediately, effective Tuesday, May 4th. And bathroom facilities will be open effective May 15th. Or what's that, Monday, May 7th, is it?
17.
17th? You want to go May 17th on that? Effective May 17th with an officer locking her up at night and city staff reopening it in the morning. That's my motion. Is there a second? Hearing no second.
Oh, second.
Second by Councilor Benson. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Bring us to 6C, Open Meeting Law Advisory Opinion 21. Attorney Bray.
Well, that's comment I was asked to offer an opinion on that advisory opinion with respect to a school district. I looked at the resolution that the school district passed related to in-person meetings and the presence of the public at in-person meetings. I think ours is a little more flexible and allows the city administrator to make those kinds of calls. I also think that the administrative determination as to whether members of the public may be present when you've got a quorum or a full board of the public body present seemed remarkably, what's the word? When your eyesight's poor. It just seemed kind of blind to the fact that if you're making a determination that you can keep members of the board safe, that doesn't mean that you are automatically concluding that members of the public ought to be present as well. I think that was kind of a misguided interpretation of the statute. And if you want to take a look at the statute, they relied on 13D.021. And one of the provisions in that statute, it sets conditions for whether you should open up the meeting to the public and also to the public body. 4 conditions, and it says that at least one member of the body, chief legal counsel or chief administrative officer, is physically present at the regular meeting location, unless unfeasible due to health, to the health pandemic or emergency declaration. Well, at least one means one or more. Theoretically, under that condition, you could have the entire body here, and you could still conclude that it would be unsafe for members of the public to be invited in as well. I think our resolution offers a great deal more discretion and a determination based on present conditions than the school board's resolution. So I don't think that should be a concern to us.
Thank you. Is there any discussion on that? Councilor Benson?
Mr. Mayor, and just to add what Mr. Bray said, that on April 29th, the House on a vote of 127 to 1 offered up a bill on the open meeting law, not discussing what we're talking about, the advisory opinion, but just letting people know that a member of a public party that participates from a location other than the regular city council meeting is not in violation. So it does kind of, I think, open up the problem with the open meeting law and the pandemic and how each body is looking at it a little bit differently, protecting its elected officials while still giving members of the community an opportunity to participate. So yeah, I think it does open up the door.
Yeah, and the word I was looking for is myopic. That I think this administrative opinion is a little myopic in issuing a one-size-fits-all determination that if your resolution doesn't specifically address it and you've got a quorum of the public body present, then you cannot exclude members of the public. I think that's silly. I think that assumes that all circumstances across the entire state, across every public body, are the same, when they're not. And it doesn't take into consideration that there may be differences between different communities with respect to the pandemic, and therefore, they ought to be able to make the determination for themselves as to whether the public body can be present, but members of the public can't be physically present. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I would agree with you, Attorney Bray. And when I was reading that opinion, I was thinking too, and I printed off exactly what you just quoted there, but also under the governor's orders, you weren't allowed to have more than 10 indoors at a meeting place.
Exactly.
If you look around, we've got 10 in here right now, so.
Yeah. And I think the governor's orders offer up a solution to public bodies that allows a great deal more discretion than this administrative opinion provides. The main mistake that was made by the school board here was citing only to 13D.021 rather than the governor's orders.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll move on. That'll bring us to 6D, American Rescue Plan. Councilor Benson.
It's not an action item. I think it should still remain on the agenda. I have nothing new to offer at this meeting, but I'm hoping to kind of put together a list on how that money can be spent, at least on a percentage, based on the needs that I see, and I'm sure each one of us has our own vision on how it could be used.
So would you like this to be put under unfinished business?
Yes, please.
So I'll make a motion to table 6D until another future meeting.
Support.
Councilor DeWalll supports that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. 6E, conditional use permit. So on your desk this afternoon, there was a conditional use permit that had just gone through the planning and zoning and a public hearing comment for a future project here within the city of Proctor. So we're looking for a motion to approve resolution 19-21 conditional use permit. Councilor Johnson made the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor DeWall or Benson, I guess. They tied there. Councilor DeWall. And the floor is open for discussion. Luke called in earlier, and he is available if council has any questions or concerns. So we'll open it for discussion.
I'll just start with, I had a chance to review the entire meeting, or the hearing, with planning and zoning, and I think they handled it appropriately and set up the conditions appropriately, and I guess I thought it was handled fine.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Benson.
And like Councilor DeWall, I also listened to the meeting, and I thought the commission asked the appropriate questions. The Rogue Eagle mini golf people answered appropriately, and it was, you could sense that there was excitement and an eagerness to get going, and a desire to truly want to be in Proctor. So I was very impressed with the presentation.
Thank you. And I would echo that sentiment that Councilor DeWall and Benson shared. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll thank Luke for your time and being available for questions and concerns if you're still listening, and we'll take it to a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Bring us to members' concerns. Administrator Rich.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to give a report on a few items that I've been working on. We are very close to bringing some quotes for groundwork on the playground for everyone in front of you, everybody, excuse me. We're met with Jennifer McDonald, and we're wrapping things up to get a package to you at the next council meeting. We had working with the school along with Councilor DeWall on softball field maintenance and the way it's running this year. There are some changes in staff that, not a more of a volunteer person that is creating some maintenance questions with the softball field, but we met with the school today, and hopefully we'll get those wrinkles cleared up. The reminder, the local Board of Appeal and Equalization meeting is on May 13th at 10 a.m. You have on your council desks a copy of the code book, and Sally Hedke has worked on this for a very long time, and she's got it to a point where she is ready for you to review it. The appropriate sections have gone to different boards and commissions. For example, planning and zoning have gotten their section on land use. Chief Gaddis has reviewed the section on public safety. So at this point, we're just going to spend some time going through the book. If you know of any ordinances or code that is a hot topic that you want to make sure that that's been the changes are reflected in that code. From there, we will gather input from the committees and commissions, and hopefully within the next 2 months, it'll be in front of you for final adoption. And I'm already working with the web developer on getting it back up on the web page in chapter and searchable format, so you don't have to go through the whole code book. So that will be very good. And along with that, I'm having discussions with Puck. We will be at the next meeting. Our GIS is done with our water, sewer, roadmap, plots, lots, all of that information. And we're just beginning the discussion on how much of that we want available on the website. Some cities put absolutely nothing. Some cities put everything. So it's there's questions about, you would think that it would make sense to put absolutely everything available, but like how some city staff has explained, if you put that there's a water main and that water main isn't exactly in the right location, people don't call in locates because they think they can trust the maps, and they start doing work that they think where they know where the utilities are. So those are just discussions that we have to have on how much we want available to the public. And the brush dump notices are going out this week to the public. So this will be the week where people can start calling in and getting their names on the list for pickup.
They have to have their name on the list by the 21st, correct?
That's correct, and pickup will begin the 27th.
Thank you.
Or, excuse me, the 24th.
Awesome. Is that everything?
That is everything. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Benson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I did try for the last 3 or 4 days to get a hold of SEH because I'm still concerned about the soil borings. And their phones have not worked. So I don't know if, I would imagine they're still in business. They just are having problems with their phone. But that's still a concern because they did have a line item for grass seed and mulch and riprap, but not soil borings. And we got hung up the last time on soil borings, so concerned with that. Just kind of a note, Blackwoods is celebrating their 25th anniversary this week, and that facility with American has really transformed the entrance or exit to Proctor. At least it made that corner pretty special. You know, you go to most cities, it's a corner, there's a gas station. We got nice facilities in Blackwoods, American, and of course across the street, the Sentia Health. So just to note that. This week's also Professional Municipal Clerks Week. City administrators, they're pretty much the same thing. Administrators a higher level, and I just want to acknowledge administrators' work, you know, the day-to-day business, the new normal, and coming up to speed nicely. So congratulations on your week. And then finally, at the last meeting, following the last meeting, I had a constituent approach me about my vote on the bills list, wondering why I voted against the bills list. And I'm always been a proponent, we got the bills, we have to pay them. For whatever reason, I did not make clear or even address the reason why I voted against this one single item, which I thought was going against city policy. And I do apologize for that and the importance of speaking up and letting people know, so at least they have a better understanding of the work elected officials, city employees do. So just wanted to mention that. That concludes my comments.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor DeWall.
Just a couple things, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to thank City Attorney, Administrator for following up with the letter that was in our communications earlier with AA Hospitality. It looks like everything is done as far as what we can do on our end, so we'll wait for a response on that. Second was any updates on the land split? I'm hoping that that's...
We tried to record it, yeah, so we'll see if it comes through.
Okay.
I hope they don't come up with something new.
Okay, just making sure that we're
Yeah.
continuing on it. And then lastly, just kind of a fire department update. Hopefully by next meeting, we'll have some information in front of you for review. I'm kind of excited about it. It's a couple of bylaw changes that they're recommending to council. And I have a feeling we're going to have another resignation, but I also have another feeling that for the first time in many years, we could possibly be faced with 4 applications. So just a little glimmer of hope there coming up, hopefully by, I think it should all get put together by next meeting. And that's all that I have, other than just thank the fire department for putting on that training burn a couple weekends ago. It was a long day, but it was very educational and important to the world of firefighters. That's it.
How many departments were involved with that, Councilor?
4.
4 different ones? Thank you. Counselor Johnson.
The only thing is, I'm glad Councilor Benson brought this up, but if it's administration week, you know, have a good week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Roeder.
I have nothing at this.
I got a couple things as well. This last Saturday, I had the privilege of doing a ceremonial puck drop at the Duluth Warriors hockey tournament here in Proctor. Kind of a neat event, and I was with a 92-year-old World War II and Korean War veteran, and he was a ball of energy. He was dancing for the photos, and it was a real neat event, so that was kind of fun to do. Also, Chief Gaddis and I have scheduled our Blight Ride-Along. That'll happen on May 13th, right after our local Board of Appeals meeting. So anyone interested in that, we are doing that coming up here shortly. And that is all I have. Attorney Bray.
Only one thing. And I normally don't even have one thing, but on that issue with AA AA Hospitality North Shore LLC with respect to the roadway up to the hotel, that recently changed hands too, so that may impact whether we get a response or not. I'm not sure that the entity I sent the letter to really cares anymore. Some group out of Aiken acquired that property.
And I would assume when they bought that property, they probably knew what they were paying for, which wasn't that road, so.
You know, the funny thing is, I can't remember where I saw that. I think it might have been in the Duluth News Tribune recently, because they do have land transactions. It's not even on the county recorder's website.
Thank you. Looking for a motion to approve the bills.
I'll make that motion.
Counselor Reuter made the motion. Is there a second? Counselor Johnson seconds that. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Oh, Counselor Benson?
Thank you. I have a few SEH engineering fees. Just kind of curious which project that was for, which number of projects.
I can't recall. I would have to look.
Yep, I would have to get back to you on that.
Okay. And then I'm thinking the chief could help us out on this one. The simulator training. How many officers were involved?
Simulator training, that is the mile system that we talked about going through that type of training. That is also all of our officers, and we split some of that training with the city of Floodwood too.
Where was that held?
We do the similar training here in our building.
So you just bring in the
Yes.
device and...
Yep.
And how many, just out of curiosity, not to belabor it, but how many of those simulators are there in the state?
We're still using the one that the individual started his own business. They used to run it through the Huey Community College or NCU. He ended up getting his own. So I just know of the one here, and I think Superior is looking at one too.
Okay. Great training. Glad that the officers had enough. And then the other one on the replacement laps under the liquor fund. I see a vendor, and I was just kind of curious why that vendor and not the vendor who put up the, I know it's more electric than,
Which vendor is that, Counselor?
where it said building repair and maintenance towards the bottom liquor fund bills, $2,100 to replace the lamps.
So we received several quotes to replace those, and that was the lowest.
Very good, thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Looking for a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Counselor DeWall made a motion. Is there a second? I'll second that. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes. Thank you.